Hello, I'm Eden Flaherty with Global Landscapes Forum, and I'm here with Tho, the Director of the Institute of Natural Resources and Environment under the Ministry of Natural Resources and Environment in Vietnam. Thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you. So to begin with, Vietnam's agricultural sector is centered around rice, and increased production has resulted in some issues with land use and the use of agrochemical inputs. What are some of the challenges in terms of the environment and sustainability that this has created?
Rice is very important as a food security in Vietnam, and also about 60% of Vietnamese people livelihood depend on rice cultivation and productions. And the Mekong Delta River is one of the most important area producing rice in Vietnam. We have 17 million people live on the area, and 60% of those depend on rice. And the area produce 50% of the rice in Vietnam, and 95% of that are exported, and is one of the world's largest area of exporting rice.
Okay, well, and that level of agriculture, does that present any challenges?
We have a lot of problem with the rice production, because the rice is important for the people depending on rice, and also it is emits 17% of greenhouse gas effects in Vietnam NDC estimation. And we also have committed to net zero at COP26, and we also committed to reduce 30% of methane emission by 2030. And rice production accounts for 40.4% of methane emission in Vietnam, and livestock account for another 19%, and in total is 60% of methane emission. So the challenges for Vietnam production of rice, as we have water rice and water paddy field, and 90% of methane emission come through water, 9% through root, and 1% to leaf. And with the commitment of reducing in methane emission, we will need to change the way we cultivate rice from flooding water to dry rice. And it will be difficult for us, because it will have the negative impact on the rice quality, as our competitor in Thailand and China, they will have the better quality of rice. So some of the donors have suggested us to use intermittent flooding rice during the cultivation of the rice, and we will need the support from international donors to change the way that we cultivate rice. And also the extensive use of the pesticide and fertilizer have degraded the land quality, and reducing the nitrogen and phosphorus nutrition in the land. And we also have the problem with degradation of the water, both of the hydrological flow and also the underground water extraction. And it have a negative impact on the biodiversity loss, and especially some of the area, for example in Mekong Delta, we have the important coastal mangrove, and also the important wetlands that has been recognized by Ramsar, like Cat Thiên, Cham Chim, and Mũi Cà Mau. Those areas have the rich value of habitat.
Fascinating, thank you. You mentioned there the transition from the use of water to dry production. What are some of the other policies, programs, and practices currently in place to tackle the issues within agriculture, and how does the FOLUR program fit within these?
The rice production is very important for Vietnamese farmer. However, in the supply chains of rice, the producer price, the farmer get the very low value as compared to the value of rice exported to other country and sold in foreign market. And we need to improve the livelihood of the farmer, especially the women and the ethical people who live on the field and who receive a very small amount of money in the rice field. And the FOLUR program is very important in the way of we have an integrated landscape management to help in the improvement of productivity and change the way that the rice cultivation can be done in Vietnam. For example, now under the land use planning in the past is very fragmented because of the small fields, small farmer, and the government have the policy to help with the land consolidation and together small farmer together to make the large field and improve the cultivation and reduce the use of pesticide, fertilizer, and pay attention more to restoration of the land and to maintain the quality of the land, also to restoration of the mangrove forest and the wetland, and to keep the balance between the nature and the use of the nature, the relationship between the farmer, the forest, and the food system. So the FOLUR have a lot of things in technical assistance and also financial support, especially under the project we have the plan to restore 151.2 thousand hectare land, and we also try to have a landscape management improvement for 1.65 million hectare land, and that will help with the reduction of the negative externality, including the extensive use of fertilizer and pesticide, and also reduction of the water contamination, and also to have a collaboration and coordination between nations, China, Laos, Cambodia, and Vietnam in terms of reducing the negative impact of the hydropower plant and to restore and improve the coastal mangrove and the important value of wetland and also habitat value and the fish connectivity in the area.
Thank you. You mentioned there the move towards more integrated landscapes.
Yes.
What do you think some of the challenges might be when making this transition?
The challenge that we will have, as I have mentioned, because Vietnam have committed at the COP26 to net zero by 2050, and we also committed to reduce the methane emission, while our competitor Thailand did not.
Right.
So we will have to change to the new rice cultivation methods, that I mean dry rice cultivation or intermittent flooding during the crop or growing period. And also we need to have the landscape land use planning that have the balance between the government interest, the enterprise interest, and the community in general. And we try to keep the balance between the current generation and the future generation through sustainability management. And we also try to have the balance between the downstream delta area that change the land for the cultivation purpose, and the upper stream in the mountain and forest area that have to function as a conservation and protection. So the benefits of the lower delta that emits carbon and change the use of the land into farming purpose, and the benefits of the upper stream region in the forest and mountainous area where they cannot change the use of the land and they capture carbon, and the government try to have the exchange of the benefits through payment of system service. And also we try to have the public and private partnership in terms of encouraging people like the enterprise to have a contract farming with the farmer to ensure the livelihood of the farmer. So all of the purpose of the FOLUR are very much aligned with what the government want to do in Vietnam. And we also hope that with the coordination and collaboration of the FOLUR at the global level and at the regional level, we can work with other countries in the region like China, Laos, Cambodia, and Thailand and Vietnam together in the Mekong region. Because Vietnam is a very narrow land area, and 3/4 of the land in Vietnam are mountain and forest, and most of the water at the upstream area are outside of Vietnam, and we depend on the decision of China and Laos about using the hydropower plant, and we want to work together within Vietnam, within the region, and at the global level to share our experience and to coordinate and collaborate with other nations to protect the environment, reducing the degradation of the environment, and reduce the biodiversity loss in the area.
Great, thank you. So I understand that women in agriculture are particularly affected by some of the broader issues, such as a fragmented value chain, lack of investment sources, and limited access to information and technical knowledge, among other things. How do you plan on tackling this?
Under the FOLUR projects, at the moment we design that the project will have 15,000 farmers. 10% of them are minority and 30% of them are women. And the way that the project can help is to help the farmer to have more value added in the whole value chains, and provide technical support and provide financial facility so that can help the farmer, especially minority and the women, as the purpose of the project both require inclusion and sustainability. And with the help of the FOLUR projects, we are sure that it's now aligned with the government resolution 120, which try to have the landscape management of the region. It's very important for rice production and export, and also important in terms of environment and biodiversity protection and conservation.
Fantastic, thank you. Finally, we've been talking about more sustainable rice production. Are there any examples in Vietnam that jump out for you?
The project target on the area that account for 20% of the Mekong River Delta, and which includes the Đồng Tháp, An Giang, and Vĩnh Long, Trà Vinh provinces, and also that includes the Ramsar area of Cát Thiên and Cham Chim and Mũi Cà Mau. And this area has been received the support of the government and also multinational donor over the past 10 years and 20 years. And we have changed some of the ways that we have the rice production. Sometimes we mix it with the other crop and using different methods so that it can improve the livelihood of the farmer and increase the value that they can receive during the rice production, and also try to reduce the negative impact of the externality and try to protect the biodiversity loss. And the area also specified as a forest area under our landscape land use master plan, and those area can be invested for restoration of the coastal mangrove, and also we can have the public and private partnership investment in restoration of the wetland in the area. And it can be work as an example for other region, even the north region of Vietnam. We would also like to apply for the new FOLUR project so that we can apply the best practices that we have in the south now that can be done in the northern area as well in the Red River Delta.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to talk with me about this project, and yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having me.
Cheers.